Good morning, and thank you for joining today's web event. My name is Steve, and I'll be your host for the day. As we get started here, I'll just review quickly how you can participate in today's event. You should see something like this on your own screen. This is where you can ask questions of our webinar staff today. If you do have questions as we present, just type your question into your GoToWebinar panel in the questions box and hit send. And then at the end of the presentation today, we'll review any questions you do submit and try to answer everything that we possibly can. I'm very happy to be joined by another Steve today, Steve Mowchan. Steve Mowchan is a senior solutions consultant at Terillium. He specializes in demonstrating the value of different ERP systems to companies looking at ERP. And today, Steve is going to be focusing on the JD Edwards product. For anyone who's not familiar with Terillium, I'll just introduce us quickly before we jump into JD Edwards. Terillium is an ERP consulting firm. We specialize in implementing enterprise resource planning projects for our customers. Those projects can be risky if they're not performed properly. But Terillium is very proud to have won many awards for our implementations. We actually just won one this week. So this slide used to say 15, and now it says 16 as of today. We're very proud of that. Our mantra is that we're only as good as our last reference. So when our projects are award-winning projects, especially when it's ERP, they can be kind of risky. We get very proud of those awards, and particularly the Best Customer Success Story Awards that we've won several years in a row. We're very proud that we're able to make these projects valuable for our customers and successful and produce those references that we value so highly. Terillium focuses all across the United States. We've got about 170 full-time employees that work directly for us, not subcontractors. So we go anywhere in the United States and cover the entire country with our employees who are very experienced and great consultants. We developed this webinar series to assist companies who are thinking about new ERP. We know that can be kind of a daunting journey, and we thought this series would be a good way to make that process more successful and less stressful, hopefully. And so far, this week, we've looked at how to maximize ROI. We've seen NetSuite and the ERP cloud products, and now we're ready this morning to see JD Edwards. Then this afternoon, we'll finish up the series by hearing from our president, Dave Woodworth, as he talks about factors for success in an ERP project. Today, we are talking about JD Edwards. JD Edwards is a ERP system that has been around and proven for some time. There's over 7,000 customers on the JD Edwards product line, with new customers being added frequently. It is a very well-liked ERP system. In fact, our customers say that they love the JD Edwards product. And you see that with statistics of who would recommend the product to their peers. So very high satisfaction, very high customer retention in the JD Edwards community, which is a very tight-knit community. In fact, 9 out of 10 SAP customers, some of our competitors, say they would not invest in that product again, whereas JD Edwards, the retention and the ability to reinvest and recommend that product is very high. JD Edwards gets a lot of benefit from being an Oracle product. Oracle has huge R&D budgets, and you see a lot of new investment going into the JD Edwards product. And there are different features that get introduced on a regular basis from Oracle's investment, and you'll see some of those today as Steve shows you the live demonstration here next. JD Edwards is unique in that it's very flexible, so you can deploy JD Edwards in the cloud, of course. You could also deploy JD Edwards on-premise if you prefer to have your own hardware on your premises. Some of our customers do prefer that. If you do that, you can choose to run JD Edwards on any operating system, any database. It's all about your choice, where you want to put the product, how you want to run it, and what sort of technology you want to run the product on. So a lot of flexibility in the JD Edwards product. The newest version of JD Edwards has a lot of tools for users, search and report, personalization tools that Steve Mowchan will show you here next, but you'll see a lot of modern, rich user experience features within JD Edwards. The ROI of JD Edwards is very high because even though it has very robust and deep capabilities, it is an affordable solution that affords you a lot of return on your investment with the product. Not only is the deployment of JD Edwards flexible, but the payment of JD Edwards is very flexible. You can buy your JD Edwards licenses once and own them forever. Or if you prefer the SaaS model of paying monthly, you can pay over time for JD Edwards. It is because it has been around and proven, JD Edwards has become a very complete solution. There are over 75 modules within the JD Edwards software, all on the same database, all in the same system, but module from a perspective of how to think about the software, how we chunk it up in terms of how we think about it, implement it. You can see some of those high-level modules on this screen, everything that you think of when it comes to ERP, and then some. And there are a lot more that that aren't on the screen. So with that introduction, I would like to introduce Mr. Mowchan to the webinar. Steve, thank you for joining us today. I know we're all excited to see your live demonstration of JD Edwards, and we welcome you to the webinar.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Steve Mowchan. I am a senior solution consultant with Terillium. We're going to show you today the JD Edwards package and have a demo on the navigation around using JD Edwards, as well as an order through sales order through kind of an invoice step. So you're looking at JD Edwards right now. This is what's called, but Oracle calls it a page. You can think of it as a home page or a dashboard. JD Edwards comes with over 50 of these out of the box home pages. You can modify these for yourself. You can create ones from scratch. You'll see various formats of pages, some of which I've created as we go through the demo today. I am currently on a page that's called Shipping Supervisor. These are role-based. So every person in the company, depending on role, would have a page geared toward them. The charts and graphs they want to see, the applications they need to use, the watch list, we'll talk about that in a little bit, things that are necessary to their day-to-day activities. You'll generally have one or two of these as a user. If you see along the top, I've got a lot of them here. So I do a lot of demos, and I'm going to be using several pages through our demonstration today. Oracle uses what's called an alert, analyze, and act setup for their pages. On the left-hand side, the left-hand column, you'll see watch lists. These are tools to allow you to see what is important to you, and they are updated frequently, obviously real time throughout the day, to say what is critical, what do I need to take action on. The analyze part in the alert, analyze, act is the middle of the screen. Here we have graphs and charts that, again, these are interactive. So I can change the data on them real time interactively. These charts also are more than just what you see on the outside. You can change quickly the query behind them to change the data. So in this case, this little graph that we see here, total volume by character, really was 4 queries in one that I could change quickly. You can also drill down into these and bring up the application with the data that goes into building the graph. Very cool stuff. Then in the right-hand column, you have here a Springboard. This is the act side of things. So when I figure out what needs to be done, how do I go act on it? These Springboards are the applications that you would use on a daily basis to do your work and to take your job and do your activities in the applications in the Springboard. There's only 4 here. You might have more than that. This is such that you no longer need to use any kind of menu system. No more that digging 4, 5, 6 levels deep to try to find the menu option that you want. These are all front and center. If there's something that you need, it can be added. This is also, these dashboards or pages are where security starts. Easy to implement what you can and cannot do using a page. So in the upper top left of the screen here, we have some icons. So I'm just going to run through these quickly. You have a home button to get you back to your home page. You have a navigator. This is where the menus are. They're still there. You don't need them. I'm not going to show them to you more than the quick second that you just saw them. Don't need them anymore. Open applications to make you jump back and forth to what you have open. You can also open applications in different windows. So if you like that Alt-Tab better than the tabs at the open tabs at the top of your browser, you can do that. Recent reports, very useful. If I want to go back and quickly access something that I had produced, a report that I had produced, I can go open that up. Favorites. Said you don't need menus. You'll have most of your applications that you need on your pages, but in case there's something that's not there or something that you prefer in a menu structure but not a menu, you can add it to your favorites. Get quick access to it. Watchlists. Again, we'll go over this more in a little bit. This is, again, something that will help you throughout your day-to-day activities and tell you what's critical that needs your attention. And then notifications. Love notifications. Okay, so we'll talk about these more in detail too, but this is really one of the big breakthroughs that the user interface has seen here in really the last year or so. Okay, so I'm going to go now, and we've got basically an entire ERP that we can have at our disposal. There are a lot of little hidden tricks here that I'm going to not really go into detail, but you have the ability to get at things more quickly and have access. What the new user interface in JD Edwards is all about is getting end users access to data they need with a limited number of clicks and exiting and popping up different windows and getting things all together in one place so you can see what you need at a glance rather than having to go dig through multiple applications or screens to get to it. So I've changed now over to a different page. This one's for customer and item information. Notice that it looks different. I've got an item master browse. This is for someone who might do master data changes. I'm going to open up an item master and click on that application. So there are ways now, JD Edwards has tremendous functionality behind it. I'm going to go into an item. Tremendous functionality. It's known for having both breadth and depth. So it can do many, many industries and go way deep into those industries and give you all the data that you need. There are lots of fields that come with JD Edwards, lots of tables and field and columns that you can use to store your data. You are not going to be creating new columns or fields in JD Edwards because the data is there for you, so you don't have to go create anything. With that comes a lot of fields on an item master, for example. So I'm looking at basic item data. I've got another tab for additional info. some weights and measures, lot processing if that's important to me. And then there's more behind that. There's some other field screens that you can get at for items. Well, maybe I don't want to see all these. Maybe I want to, when I create a new item, see everything in one place, all the fields that I need. Well, now you can do that without really needing IT staff. A lot of these ability to personalize your data has come down to the user level or super user level or a business analyst, trying to reduce a lot of that IT bottleneck. So I'm going to go in and change this. I'm going to go into my basic item data, and I'm going to open up a personal form. So what I've done here, if you notice, I have all these little dashes that have come up. It's easy to now eliminate fields that I don't need. If I want to eliminate an entire block of them, I can do that. To be able to take fields and move them where I want. Making it much simpler to navigate and add data, find the fields that I need. Okay. This also allows you to change the screen sizes. If I want to change a label, I can do that really quickly. And this stuff is permanent. You don't need anything deployed. You don't need anything built. You don't need some IT person to go and push all these changes out to you. Now, when we have this and when we save this, I can create a different format. This can be saved for just me. You can publish this out to additional users. So if I get a form that works, I don't need 10 different users all having to do changing the form. I can get one form done and then push that out and publish that for other users so they can have it. Again, you can have multiple different forms as you're needed. Here's one that's really empty. Just show you how quickly it is that you could make those changes. Again, note that there's even more complexity behind that if I want to go into what fields, tabular, when you tab, what field goes next, what field does it tab to next, so on and so forth. So resequencing that and bringing fields together and showing me only what I need to enter, what I care about. If I look at this grid here, this item master grid, it looks kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. It acts like an Excel spreadsheet. So it looks like I can change the size of a column. I can do that. If I want to drag and drop a column, I can do that. If I want to hide a column, I can do that. I can do them one at a time like this. If I want to freeze, like you can, a spreadsheet and keep the pertinent information on the left while I scroll and the right-hand side of the screen only moves, and we're keeping my key fields on the left, I can do that. I can quickly start from scratch also. So I can go in and do lots of things all at once. So I can get rid of everything and then just say I want item, I want description, I want line type, stocking type, maybe a couple other things here. And save this. And when I exit, now I have a very simplistic view. Again, quick, easy. User-oriented changes. I don't need some IT guy to go do this for me. See how quick that was. Again, opening up space here to the right. Well, why is that important? I'll show you that in a little bit. You have the ability also on this to export the grid data to either an Excel or a comma-separated values format or to a clipboard. I can choose my range of grids, of cells that I want. Very simple. So it's literally just that one button to export to an Excel spreadsheet. Also, if you have an import-capable screen like a sales order entry, you have an import from Excel as well. There's another icon that shows that you can pull data in to JD Edwards. Very, very useful. I'm going to close out here. Note that these icons up here, again, they're all pretty self-explanatory. A select, a find, an add, a copy, delete, close. Everything that you hover over, you'll get some sort of an explanation about. So I'm going to look also at some of the things you can add. You have the ability to have some shortcuts to get at some of the data. Note that here I've added an image for red grapes. This can show up on your mobile applications as well. We'll talk briefly about mobile apps toward the end of the navigation part of the demo. It's very nice. This is all, again, personalizable, that you can change what data that you see here. So you can get at this anywhere that you see an item number. You don't have to jump into the item master to get at the data. Pretty cool stuff. You do have the ability to do attachments, whether it's pictures, other files such as Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, really any file type. And this goes not only for an item master, it's any record of data that you have in JD Edwards. Could be master data like items or customers, or could be sales order transactions if you wanted to attach a PO, a customer's PO to the sales order. Attach an invoice to that sales order. All very easy to do. Okay, so I'm going to go into our sales order area. Show you something that is probably the most beneficial to end users. It's called CaféOne, Composite Application Framework for EnterpriseOne. I'm going to go in and add a sales order. We'll see this later too in our demo, but I'm going to show you something here. Over to the right, we've got our sales order open, and then we've also got these two little things that are kind of hidden here. Got manage existing orders, and then also work with supply and demand. I can bring in and tie in other applications on the same screen. This is extremely, extremely powerful. Note that as I change and add my ship to, actually I'm going to go in. You don't need customer numbers anymore or item numbers. You can just start typing in descriptions, and it'll pull up the data for you, which again is nice. As I do that, watch the screen on the right as I populate this. It updates to the customer that I just entered. Now it's showing me, in this case, my most recent orders for that customer with the most recent on top and a descending order. I can see what orders they placed. I can see what products they've purchased. I can see when they've made their purchases. If I'm on the phone with a customer and they're maybe placing an order, I can look down and ask them, hey, why haven't you ordered this in a while? Look, I noticed that you were ordering some red bikes, and then you also had touring bikes. And before that, you had a different touring bike. Why didn't you order that one recently? Or if a customer says, oh, you know, I can't remember what I ordered. Can you help me? It was some sort of a pipe. I see a straight section pipe. So I can do filtering with that. We'll go over this in just a second too. I can do searches. Really, really powerful. These can be for any application. Can be for any application, not just sales orders. And I, of course, can hide these then. And here, if I want supply and demand, I can look at that too. Or you know, the world is your oyster. Pretty much any application you can bring in, and you can tie it to the data in the primary application. So as you change a record, you can see different things. I'm going to show you one more example of that. So I go back to my item master. Okay, so we're going to go into queries for a second, but if I go in and look at some queries here, and I go look at my different layouts for my CaféOnes, here I'm bringing in, instead of other JD Edwards applications, I can bring in an outside of JD Edwards application. Here I've got a website for Grainger. If I click on a residential ice maker over here, it pulls up that same ice maker under Grainger. If I switch to a commercial ice maker and just switch my records, which ones I'm populated on, which ones I've selected, it pops up the new one. You can tie in Google Maps. You can tie in other external applications that aren't a web browser or aren't a JD Edwards application. Again, almost limitless possibilities that you have with this. And this is all part of the CaféOne functionality that, again, is newer to the end user experience. All right, so if I go back over to my sales order, how do you dig through all this and how do you filter your data? We have two different options. We have the old standby. We have all these columns and we have little open boxes on top. I want to look for item number 220. I can filter for 220. If I also say, well, let's see, I want it to be requested date greater than January 1 of 2019. These work in conjunction together as an AND query. But what if I want to see two different items? Or the date, you know, if I put a date in here, tomorrow that date is one day further in history. If I'm looking at stuff that I want to see something over a 7-day period or a 6-month period, I'm going to be constantly changing this date. That's no fun. So Oracle created, you can call them super queries, you can call them all kinds of different terminology, but basically it's the next step. So I can go in and create a query. Notice when I do that, I get a bunch of pluses up here. So I can go in and say, I want to add some items to this. And I have different options. I can say in a list, I can say, I want to see item 210 and item 221 and item 220. And oh yeah, I want to see them requested date less than, or today, minus 180 days. Or I can do months or years. And instead, I'm actually going to say greater than, today minus 180 days. So this will show me transactions for the sales orders for these 3 items. that are in the past 180 days. And you can get a lot more complex with this. So as I close this out, I'll do a find on this, and it shows me those 3 items only for everything requested over the last 180 days. Again, these new queries allow you to set up data permanently that I looked at that I might want to filter for every day. Maybe it's a particular customer's orders, or maybe it's different things that are critical, like an order that's past due that should have shipped. You can also send these queries, or anything that I'm showing you here, you can basically publish those out to get public so other users can use them. So we mentioned, now we're looking at stuff that in these queries that I might want to look at every day on a consistent basis. So what does that take me to next? Those are those watch lists. You can basically take a query and turn it into a watch list that says, what do I care about? What do I care the most about? Excuse me. So here I've got some alerts or watch lists. Quote orders above a discount amount. Orders on credit hold. Freight claims. Orders potentially that might be late. If I go in and click on orders on credit hold, I see that there's one. It shows me the application for held orders and shows me that one order that's on a credit hold. I can flag these and have it change colors based on the critical nature of when I'm most concerned about the watch list. So these are great. Watch lists are great. They're, again, very easy to do on top of a query. It's just a very simple layer that's added on top of the query, just as easy as everything else I've been showing you. But watch lists are really only good if I'm logged on to the system. What if I want JD Edwards to notify me of something critical that occurs when I'm not logged on? That's where notifications come in. Again, the next layer on top of a watch list is a notification. It can look and it can send information outside of JD Edwards on things that I need to take care of. It can be an email to me. It could be a text message. That email could also contain a link to the record itself. So if I could go directly to the problem area, or the problem sales order, or the problem work order. Again, all this stuff I'm showing you is available throughout every module of JD Edwards. These notifications are very powerful in the fact that not only do they take a watch list mentality and then push that to you, they can also do things behind the scenes. For example, maybe I have a notification that tells me if a warehouse location has gone to negative on-hand quantity. Well, obviously that's a problem. You can't have less than 0 on hand. So I want to kick off a cycle count for that product or that zone in the warehouse. With a notification, I can get notified that that problem has occurred, and behind the scenes, the watch list or the notification also kicks off a cycle count for the offending item. I don't need to do anything about it. Again, the notifications have given users and given some of the to-dos to the system itself, and rather having a user have to always do a manual process. These are a lot of automated tools that can help you manage your system. Really, really good stuff. Things that users were asking for really the last few years, Oracle listened. And if you know a JD Edwards user from years ago, showing them these new concepts has really improved their efficiency. So you can get this from the get-go. Talked about E1 pages. These are easy to set up. These are easy to change. So in effect, Like anything else, I can parse these and create them as I see fit. We have global search. If I want to look for red, maybe I'm looking for a particular customer that says red, but I can set up these searches and say, where do I have red? Oh, I've got items, I've got assets, I've got some customers with red in it. These can also come with the ability to show related data. So I'm looking at an item, shows me quickly my sales orders, purchase orders, if I have bill of materials or parts lists with this item. I can also have it link directly to different applications. If I want to look at a customer's stats or invoices or sales orders, or go directly into the customer master, all from this search. These searches can go over any table. It can go over custom tables if you have those pulled in. You can create what searches you want. If I want to search for customers in Cincinnati, I can do that. Reporting. All right, so reporting was always an IT concept. Again, not anymore. Now you've got the ability to put it down to at least the super user level and the business analyst, if not even further. All right, if I want to go in, they're called one view reports. I'll go in and create a new report quickly. As you saw before, it adds some pluses here. If I want to go in and get my supplier name, my ship to name, item number, item description, order date, order number, and then give me a quantity. And just for good measure, purchasing extended cost. So I've selected what I want, the columns that I want, and after I've done that, it'll show me my formatting tool. I'm just going to do a simple chart and a table. I'm going to fly through this a little bit just because of time, but you can change quickly titles, can bring in images if you want, inserting images, inserting logos. So you can go choose logos for your charts. You can change your styles, colors. So I can drag and drop. Say I want my quantity ordered, and my item description. I can also create a table. Again, note that this data came from different tables. It came from different joins. I don't have to figure out how to join the tables. I don't have to know the field names. It's all drag and drop and clicking. So I don't need to be an IT person to do this. And again, there's a lot more you can do with totaling and such, and lots of other tricks of the trade. I mean, you can do a demo of this quickly, but it'll take you a couple hours, and I don't have that time, so I want to go in then and basically take a look. I created an ERP demo. Done. How quick was that? 3 minutes? Pretty slick. So again, IT bottleneck gone. You can put a lot of this reporting and cool reports with, you can get all funky with gauges and other things. I could show you some existing reports that come with Oracle. You can get them from Oracle that are really, they really show very well and have extreme amounts of useful data on them. Mobile applications, yeah, JD Edwards has a ton of them. Purpose-built apps, 80 to 90 plus. You can just go on to any of the Apple iStore or the Google Play and search under JD Edwards, and you'll see them. Also works on the iPad flawlessly using the iPad gestures and such. Before we get into our quick rundown of order to invoice, also needed to mention, if you are interested in JD Edwards, you need to take a look at something called the Orchestrator that's part of JD Edwards. It's basically a no-code or a low-code tool that helps eliminate manual processes and integrations. It's not a modification. It allows you to do complex stuff that's not a modification, that allows you to continue to take upgrades and additional functionality available from Oracle without having to do any retrofitting. It's called the Orchestrator. You'll want to look at that in depth, and I know Terillium here, we have some training and other things available if you're interested in JD Edwards. It's a game changer. All right, so I'm going to go through a quick order to shipment and invoice here for us. I'm going to add a new sales order. I'm going to start typing my customer name. I can add in a customer PO, make that required if I want. I'll add in my item. Again, as I continue to type, it'll give me my choices. And note that you can have integrated pricing and immediate ability to take a look at availability. If I type in just one, note I get a line advisor. What is this? Well, this tells me that my pricing says I get price breaks at a quantity of 25 or 100. So you can tell your customer that, again, right here on the screen as you're entering an order. Oh, you know what? You came close. You ordered 20. If you order 25, you get a price break. I have a supply monitor. This is part of what are called in-memory applications that are available through Oracle and JD Edwards. It has available to promise in a graphical view. It's really cool. So if I click on the supply monitor, it's green. It says, oh yeah, you can get what you want. Looks like I have probably about 9,000, 9,500, 9,168 in available to me. If I order 10,000, a little bit more than what I have available, it says, oh, I can get some of them. Take a look here, drives an inventory negative. But if I go out here, it looks like I have probably a purchase order or a work order due on the 24th of the month. So if I go change my requested date, let's just say to the 27th, my supply monitor is now green. Now still, I don't have what's available today, but my supply monitor says on my requested date of the 27th, it is now green. And if I take a look at that, there you go. Comes after our PO or our work order is due, and this takes into account everything across the system, other customer orders, other commitments, other due POs or work orders that might increase your supply. Neat stuff. Very neat stuff. So I'm going to submit, close that order. We have statuses in JD Edwards that basically say what's next. Here we have a print pick list is next. I'm going to go work with this shipment as I would as a person in the warehouse needing to process this order. Now, JD Edwards has lots of integrated functionality, such as transportation. Here, you can see it's selected different options for my LTL shipment. It's pre-selected UPS, as that one happens to be the simplest or cheapest route, including my lead time days, my transit days. Note that best way, that's an expensive one. This is all sample data, by the way. I'm just pointing out that this one will get you 1 transit day. They must be driving really fast. So my promised ship date can be a day later if I want to get it to them on the 27th. So this comes into play when someone needs something immediately tomorrow. You can find out the best way to get it. So often in JD Edwards, you're basically going to be doing processing with data collection handheld scanners in the warehouse as you pick it. I'm confirming the shipment, which is basically going to change a status and let customer service know that I'm working with the order. So if a customer calls and says, oh, you know, my order that I wanted to add something to that, or I wanted to take something off of that, which I've never been a place that customers don't change their mind at the last second. The customer service rep can look quickly at the order, it's real time, and say, oh, I see the warehouse is already actively picking this. I'm going to have to call them. Or if I see I haven't approved this order yet or completed it, I know I'm in good shape. So again, I'm processing this using JD Edwards, but in a case, you'd generally be doing a ship confirmation through a handheld scanner on a dock. So if I look at my order status now, it's confirmed. If I look at my find here, I do a find. Now I'm ready to print invoices. So it's gone through my picking and my shipment confirmation, because that's the last thing I did, my last status. Next status shows print invoices. Those invoices can go out either EDI or through email. You can basically configure the customer for what version or what format they want the invoice to go in. It could be a spreadsheet or a Word document or a PDF. It's up to you and up to how the customer, what they want. Speaking of what the customer wants, I'm going to kind of finish here with my favorite thing to show in all of JD Edwards. So I'm going to go into my shipping page. We were talking about customers wanting what they want and only what they want. Documentation. How many customers do you have that I want you to use my packing list? I want you to use my bill of lading. Maybe you do manufacturing for a third-party entity and they want all of the paperwork, the shipping paperwork, to show their customer name and logo instead of yours. Delivery documents in JD Edwards handle all of that. They know what needs to go out. They know what format it needs to be in. They know what different printing needs to go on there. They know what documents need to go. Let's take a look at that. So here I've got some orders, all from Richard's Products, all going to that same ship-to address, Libertyville, Illinois. And if I look at delivery documents and see what is going to be sent. Just for this example here, we've created a bill of lading, a COA, an invoice. Maybe it's, if you're shipping to Canada, the system will know, you can set it up so the system knows to create a Canadian customs invoice. If you're shipping to Mexico or somewhere else overseas, it'll create a commercial invoice. You don't need to remember to do that. We've got a shipping manifest, packing list, labels, Maybe I want to print out shipping labels at the same time. By simply clicking this OK button, all those documents will be generated. Okay, so I've got the 6 documents here. Let's take a look at another shipment for this customer. Same ship to. Well, here we also now have material safety data sheet or hazardous documentation. Same customer, but it noted that there's an item on there that required this. Pulled it up and included it automatically. Shipping office personnel might jump up and down in joy when you show them this. I've seen them do it. Takes all the onus off of them to remember what needs to go, what needs to be shipped, what format. Oh, I need to put the different paper in the printer because it's a different, this customer that needs this. Now you don't need that anymore. You can say, I'll direct it to this other drawer that has the different format of the bill of lading. Also, you can do the overlays of forms and not have to do pre-printed forms. Really, really impressive stuff that saves so much time and effort and eliminate mistakes when you take all that off the shipping personnel and you put it in a computer in a software package that does that all for you. Anybody that ships products takes advantage of this, and it's really simple to set up. Fantastic stuff. So again, as we finished here, we did a navigation overview of JD Edwards. We did a quick order through the invoice process. If you have further questions about JD Edwards, please let us know. We'll be happy to go more in depth in any of these topics for you. With that, I'm going to send it back to Mr. May for any wrap-up and Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. Nice job showing JD Edwards from the search capabilities, the watch lists, the reporting with one view reporting, and then taking us through the order to cash process. I really appreciate you doing that for us today, Steve, and hope that everybody found that to be a good use of time. Just a reminder, if you do have any questions, just type those into your questions pane, and we're here to answer anything you have. I don't see any right now, so type them in quickly if you have them, and we'll answer them. Otherwise, if you get one in after we hang up here, we'd be happy to follow up with you. Again, my name is Steve May. Steve Mowchan assisted me today, and we appreciate your time. Please join us back again at 2 p.m. This afternoon as we talk about ERP success factors for your implementation. Thank you, everyone.